if you have multiple forms within your project, sometimes they need to be able to communicate with each other. So for example, if I've taken some data from the user, maybe through some text box or something like that, and I'm storing them in some variables. So maybe they've given me their name, maybe they've given me their password, and I've got their level for their account or whatever. Maybe this was stored in a text file and I found it and I gobbled it all up and I've got it in these variables. Whatever the case may be, I have their data, but I only have their data on this form. So if I want to go to a second screen, such as this form, this code was not deleted from the previous video. If I want to go to this form, I don't have that data. I've got none of that data. That data exists for this form and only this form. So how do we go about that? Well, it's not too bad, actually. Definitely not as bad as the last video. So we learned, well, if I want to go to a new form, if I want to open up a new form, I first need to create a reference to this form. And since this one is called nextScreen.cs, that is the name of the class, I can give it an arbitrary name. Doesn't matter what I call it. But just like SoundPlayer, StreamWriter, that is how we create a reference. If I want to go to the next screen, first I need to hide the form that I'm on. And that's where the this keyword comes in. Because I'm in the this class, the main class, I can use this to hide it. So this form, hide it. Once I've hidden my form, I want to show this new form, this new screen. So I like to use the show dialog. And just for simplicity's sake, let's say when I'm done with the next screen, I want to come back. I want to show the screen that is now being hidden. So this is fair. This is nothing new. Hide the first form, show the second form. Once I'm done with the second form, the first form comes back. But the issue for this lesson is I've got this data. I've got this data that I want to use on this form. So I can't just type string name equals Bob, because maybe I don't know what their name's going to be, Bob. And I can't just type their password, because I don't know what their password is. And I don't know their level. So on this form, I know their stuff. On this form, I don't. So I want to take these values and I want to pass them into this form's variables. So how do we do that? Well, I'll show you. Public next screen. This is called a constructor. And it's got an empty set of brackets or parentheses. We can add stuff in here. This basically means, hey, if I'm going to launch that form, I can send stuff to it. What do I want to send to it? I want to send a string that's a name, a string that's a password, and an int that's a level. So over in my next screen, I can set this form up to accept those variables that are being passed. I'm expecting to be sent a string. We'll call it name. I'm expecting to be sent a password. And I'm expecting to be sent a level. So the name I'm sending this form needs to be placed in this variable. So this dot name refers to this name that's part of my form. And this name is going to be equal to the name that gets sent to it. So here's the name coming in through the constructor. And we are setting this name to be equal to the name that's being sent to it. Whew. The code is not that bad, but maybe the idea is hard to wrap your brain around. The password I am sending, this form, needs to be stored in this form's password string variable. So this password equals the password I sent to it. This level that's part of this form that I'm working on, we are going to give it the value of the level I passed it. So you have this overloaded constructor. We've ruined the default constructor, which is okay for our doing right now. And the last thing. So back when I launched that new screen, back when I created an instance of that new screen, it's saying, hey, I need some stuff passed to me. I need a string, and I need a level. You're supposed to send me 3 things. That's why that red line's there. So what 3 things was I sending to that form? Well, I want to send him the name, which is Bob. And I want to send him the password. And I want to send him the level. And now that I'm sending that form 3 things, I'm passing it 3 variables, it's happy. Because on the new form, we have overloaded it to expect to be sent 3 things. 1 string, 2 string, and an int. 3 things in total. Once I send these 3 values over, those 3 values through this line of code get stored, and boom, boom, boom. And if you don't believe me, well, here's my second screen with a label. So label output dot text equals name. I'm going to show you the value of this name. Actually, I don't like that. Here's something. If you double click on the outside of your form, you are creating a load event. And once your form loads, any code you write in here will happen. So for example, if I want to update a label, as immediately when my new screen loads, I can do it here. So I'm going to display on that label the value of my name variable, which seems to be empty. However, it's not empty because I sent it from my main form. Next form, and we got Bob. Bob started on my main form. He went through a little bit of a journey because we sent him to the next screen. Here he is, and we put him in our form variable. So now I have access to Bob whenever I want. Simple code, but a very important programming concept that we have not previously talked about, and you will talk about this more in depth later on.